Well, it's been a while since I've uploaded anything to do with this theoretical Transformers season. You guys didn't think I was just gonna stop at a battle pass, did you? No, today we're gonna be going over the loot pool. That means weapons, abilities, and all kinds of different items you can find along the Transformers Cyberfall map, as well as the entire map, all the POI'S and some of the NPCs and story quests you can do while at these POI'S and landmarks. First off, we're gonna reveal the map. First off, I'm using the Chapter 6 map as a basis because it's the most recent chapter. It would make most sense to have it on the most recent map as of this recording. I think Autobot City would be a great POI. It's big, but not too big. It's kind of like a smaller tilted, maybe something along the lines of like Greasy Grove or Pleasant Park. There's some pretty decent loot there. There's going to be some NPCs hanging out, and since it's an Autobot controlled location, you're going to see a lot of the Auto Troopers there. There's going to be a lot of IO type guards around each POI, either being Vehicons or Auto Troopers. We'll get more into that later. Characters that can be found at Autobot City are characters like Bumblebee and Rodimus Prime, once he's added, because he's gonna be a mid-season update. Essentially, whenever the secret skin is revealed, he'll be a character you can go talk to and do quests for on the map in order to unlock the secret skin. Speaking of mid-season updates, we have the Nemesis. So throughout the season, you'll be gliding in and noticing that the left side of the map doesn't have that much going on, especially this section, except for the fact under the water will be a giant starship. That's the Nemesis. Just like the G1 cartoon, halfway through the season, it will emerge and become a brand new POI on the map. There'll be massive waves of Vehicon troops, as well as Shockwave will be inside the Nemesis. This will also be a place where a lot of story quests will go down. I'll save that for the storyline and quests video I have planned after this. Essentially, it has some pretty decent loot. You're gonna have to break into the Nemesis at one point for a story quest, some Decepticon loot in there you can get, as well as Shockwave, who is a boss fight, and an NPC. There's gonna be Vehicon troops everywhere. Next up is the Sea of Rust. I have a very interesting idea for the Sea of Rust, where if you're playing in builds or zero builds, essentially your overshield, if you touch any of the rust, gets corroded, and from 45 seconds to a minute, your overshield is corroded and it cannot fill back up. You either have to leave the POI or wait the allotted time. This makes it a very high risk, high reward situation where there's actually some pretty decent loot here as well. There isn't a whole lot of NPCs hanging around here or even guards. It's just a very volatile place. Next is more of a small POI or landmark. So lodged inside this mountain over here is the Autobot space shuttle that crashes into the mountain in 1984, especially in the G1 cartoon and the Skybound comics. You're going to be able to go in there for some quests. There's going to be some NPCs. There's going to be some Auto Troopers guarding. Next isn't really a POI, but more of a game mechanic for this map. If you remember, there is a train on the Chapter 6 map, but just like a few of the other seasons, we're gonna be changing up the train and how it works. At the beginning of the map, after jumping up the battle bus, a rift will open with Astro Train in his space shuttle form. He will then fly down onto the map at a random point and in a random direction, and then change into his train mode. You can then go hack the train, and essentially a bunch of Vehicons will spawn, and as soon as you kill all of them and start opening up the vault, once it's open, he will transform back into his shuttle mode and stay above the track, making it very hard to get third party, because there's nothing I hate more than doing all of the work just for the very last second while I'm sorting for my loot to get one pumped in the head. But you have to do this quick, because eventually he will transform back into a train and go back on the train tracks. That is when you probably have to get off. And if you jump off of him while he's in shuttle mode, you will get a glider redeploy. So don't worry about that. I think it'd just make it really interesting to kind of have like a flying train. Next we have Kaon City, but inside Kaon City there is 3 different layers. We have the above ground, which has Dark Mount and has all the awesome places where you can find Decepticons like Starscream, Soundwave, Megatron, Cybertron, a bunch of Viacons prowling around. But then underneath, you can do a rescue mission to save RC. This will be a story mission, but we'll go more into that later. But if you're looking for her, that's where she is, in the K-On prison, along with a few other auto troopers. You free her, you get to add her as kind of a companion. But then we have the gladiator pits, where you are able to fight Megatron for his fusion cannon, which we'll get more into once we do the weapons portion of this video. You'll also be able to talk to him and do several quests with him and Soundwave and Starscream. The last POI I'd like to talk about is Iacon City. This is where characters like Optimus Prime, eventually later on in the story Rodimus will move, as well as Cosmos. K-On and Iacon are basically going to be the tilted towers, but there's two of them. You're going to be able to choose which side you're on for quests, kind of like the Star Wars season, and you're going to get several different rewards depending on what side the community fights for more. Optimus Prime, you'll be able to talk to him and get his Ion Blaster. Iacon is huge. There is a secret in both K-On City and Iacon City that pertains to the storyline near the end, but we're not quite there yet. Once again, check out the storyline video once that drops. Now for the weapons of this season. So for the two shotguns, I'm introducing the Scatter Blaster from Fall of Cybertron, and anything epic or higher, so purple or higher, essentially gives you a flame rounds effect, just like Fall of Cybertron, to make up for the low damage but the high fire rate, being a semi-auto shotgun. For the pump shotgun, we're going to be using the EMP shotgun. Now, this is a double barrel shotgun that is essentially going to act like an Olympia from Call of Duty. If you guys know the Ranger shotgun, imagine that, but with two shots and reloads slightly fast. It's going to have high damage, but, you know, the caveat is two shots, gotta reload. It's going to have really good range, and personally, this is the one I'm going to be picking. Now for an assault rifle. We're going to have basic assault rifle be the Neutron assault rifle. Once again, epic or higher. It changes out the Scar with the Neutron assault rifle from Fall of Cybertron, which has higher fire rate, more damage, but the recoil goes for the roof since there's two barrels now. Speaking of two barrels, I miss LMGs. They're so good in OG. If you haven't, use the LMG. It's sick. So we're going to be using the X16 Scrapmaker. Essentially, it's an LMG with two barrels. The more you hold down the trigger, the faster it charges up and the more damage it'll do. But the recoil becomes insane, and you can't really reload the weapon. Now for the sniper rifle, we have the Null Ray from Fall of Cybertron, and the thing is, this is a charged sniper. You have to zoom in for a few seconds to get it up to 100% in order to do the max damage. It doesn't have any bullet drop off, and it's got 5 in a clip, but you have to charge in between each, making it a pretty interesting sniper in my opinion. The pistols, we're gonna have the throwback pistol, which is basically the G1 Megatron pistol. Shoots lasers and has all the sound effects from G1, like the transformation when you pull it out, as well as the G1 laser sound effects. And the Energon Battle Pistol. This is a basic pistol, has a very moderate fire rate, it's really good at long range, and has a scope on it. One of the melee weapons we're going to be adding is the Magnus Hammer. Ultra Magnus might not be in this season, but his hammer from Animated sure is. You can either use it like a normal hammer, hitting people and doing a lot of damage up close, but with a really long swing to the point where you're probably going to get shotgunned in the face at least once. But if you stomp it on the ground holding down LT, you can charge up a giant lightning bolt to come down on your opponent. You can hold it down and channel an even larger lightning bolt to strike them. It's pretty easy to get out of the way if, you know, you're already moving or you're paying attention, but if you're not, you're just camping somewhere and you're stuck in a small confined space, not a good idea. And you need to at least be looking approximately in the direction. There's a cone, so you can't just spam it and hit everybody. There's an ability you can get on the map, which is the classic War for Cybertron cloaking system. Run around invisible until it stops. I'm also adding two things to this season that I absolutely know that the competitive Fortnite community is going to absolutely despise me for saying, but it's my video, it's my imaginary season, and it's fun, so deal with it. It is going to be insanely broken. Every single match, depending on if you talk to a boss and kill them, or you get really lucky out of a chest or a supply drop. There's a decent amount of them to go around. You can pick up T-Cogs. Essentially, a T-Cog is what allows a Transformer to transform into any vehicle. There are very specific ones, like you can get RC, Bumblebee, Optimus, Megatron, or Starscream's T-Cog. And later on, you can get Grimlock's T-Cog turning into a dinosaur, or you can get Rodimus's turning into a slick hot rod sports car. Before I forget, yes, you can turn into Cosmos's little UFO and use a tractor beam, basically becoming a little miniaturized version of the UFO from the Alien season. And you can pick up stuff, only like small stuff. I'm not expecting you to be able to pick up a huge rock or a tree and just throw it at someone's builds and destroy them, but you know, it does a decent amount of damage to builds. Also, you're gonna be able to buy Hot Rod's dual Energon bow from Animated. Also, I'll slurp his pink now to be like Energon, and I think that's kind of cool. You're essentially gonna have a lot of free movement, being able to backflip and roll into vehicle mode. Even in midair, you're gonna be able to do barrel rolls, and the vehicles aren't gonna be too big. There's gonna be some mass shifting, obviously. I like to think that these are gonna be a bit bigger than the little Fortnite, like, traversal toy cars you can drive around in some emotes. This is going to allow you to shoot in them. This is only going to be like a month and a half or 2-month long seasons, so it won't get too stale by then, but I think this is going to be really interesting, and if this were to happen, I'd really want it to be in creative, that way people can make their own Transformers game modes using the transformation mechanic. One last thing to cement the fact that the Fortnite community will absolutely hate this season, other than making transformation a core mechanic, is halfway through the match, if you've been playing Chapter 6 at all, you know that there's some sort of mythical item you pick up and become a huge boss like Godzilla, Superman. You and your friends get to pilot a Star Destroyer. Fortnite Cyberfall is no different. The Autobot Matrix of Leadership and the Dark Spark will fall from the sky at the same time at about a 15 to 25% chance every single match at the same time. If you pick up the Matrix of Leadership, you become a buffed version of yourself and become Optimus Prime. Your moveset will consist of a Matrix Unibeam Blast. Your trusty Energon X is a melee weapon, being able to transform, of course, and your Ion Blaster from the G1 cartoon. In the match, you can normally get by just talking to Optimus and buying it off of him or dueling him for it. The Ion Blaster he gives you is a mythic, does some pretty good damage. It is a semi-auto rifle that can shoot really fast and really far ranges. But if you pick up the Dark Spark, you turn into Megatron. Megatron is equipped with his fusion cannon, a weapon of mass destruction that you can also buy off of him or duel him for in the pits of Kaon. This weapon can also be charged or just shot normally, and it has a massive explosive radius. This thing is a monster, high damage, but you can damage yourself with it because it's a huge explosive weapon mounted to your arm, so of course it is. Instead of an Energon X, you have the Energon Mace, which has more range and can swing faster but with less damage. And as for the Dark Spark, you can shoot a giant Unibeam style Dark Spark blast, and you can become a tank. For traversal, you're slower, but you can actually shoot out of the tank, which is very similar to the fusion cannon. And the reason why I have it so both of these spawn in the same game instead of just one, let's be honest, it's gonna be so cool. There's gonna be so many people making videos about the final battle between Optimus Prime and Megatron, whoever's about to win the solo game, recreating scenes from the 86 movie. It's gonna be peak. Also, there's gonna be huge space slugs on the map, and they act exactly the same way as Klambos do. Please, Epic Games, please bring Klambos back. I miss the Klambos so much. They were so adorable that you killed them all. Now, I'm very mixed on adding this weapon to the loot pool, mostly for the fact that it's not even a real Transformers weapon. It's not from any of the movies, comics, video games, TV shows, toy lines. It is a weapon Epic Games made up for this collab because, in my opinion, the Transformers collab was a little bit rushed to begin with. So they just slapped the Autobot symbol, made it a transforming backpack, and called it a day. Having said that, absolutely love the Cybertron Cannon, dude. Calling it the Cybertron Cannon, it's like giving Piccolo the Namek gun. It just doesn't make sense. You just slap the name of their planet and put gun on the other end. But it's a really fun weapon. And I really like it, and I'd be doing such a huge disservice if I wasn't going to add this to the game once again. Anyways, guys, I know a lot of you are probably going to be mad and say that that would make Fortnite unplayable, just like what happened with Fortnite Wrecked, but I couldn't care less. This would be such a fun season. It'd be such a huge departure from Fortnite usually does, but it would be like playing a new Transformers game, something akin to War for Cybertron, but like Epic Games made it, like with their own Fortnite twist. And honestly, that's what I love about collabs, is that usually, if they're not being lazy, they put their own twist on an IP and try to make it fit Fortnite with some kind of trailer that shows Fishstick going over to the drinks and seeing Master Chief frozen in a supermarket. So if having transformation bothers you that much, I'm sorry. It's only gonna be a 1 or 2 month long season. You could go play a different video game while I have fun playing Transformers. And besides, it's not a real season anyways. But if it were to actually become a real season, even as a mini season, I'll burn this game's balance down to the ground if I have to spend another minute playing as my favorite Transformers character not being able to turn into a vehicle like some kind of action master. Anyways, I love you guys. I'll see you in the next video. And thank you so much to Box, who's a really good friend of mine on the Transformers 99 Discord server, who made me this amazing 3D model that I've been using in this video. Let me know what you think, if you want me to keep using it in videos, kind of express myself more, and definitely go follow him. Bye guys.